Welcome to Ravenwoods. In this episode, we have 10 ghost stories or spiritual encounters that were found on the internet. Number 1. I get sleep paralysis occasionally. It usually feels like someone has me by the throat and is pushing me onto the bed. I've never seen the crazy demon that people talk about seeing, though. Mind you, I did see someone who looked exactly like myself sitting on the edge of the bed during an episode one night when I'd fallen asleep with the lights on. I really couldn't make out her face, although I could tell she was concerned almost, and she was wearing one of my favorite t-shirts that I'd owned for over 12 years. I don't really wear that t-shirt anymore because of it. Number 2. The closest I've gotten to a haunted house is a haunted room. I used to sleep on the second floor, and my sister slept in the attic. She used to have sleep paralysis often. Then she moved about, and now I have her old room. She no longer has sleep paralysis, but I do. Number 3. This child's closet creeper. I don't remember this myself, but my parents say that when I was young, I would run into their room crying because there was a man in my closet. I described him as a Civil War soldier, which I couldn't have known how to describe on my own given my age. After a little research, my parents found out that the last people who had lived in that house had found a rare Civil War artifact in the attic. Number 4. My grandfather was in bed, reading before going to sleep, and he saw my grandmother walk past the bedroom in a nightgown. He thought this was odd because my grandmother never wears a nightgown. A couple of minutes later, she walked into the room from the same side of the hallway that she had walked from earlier, and she got into bed. He asked her why she'd changed those clothes out of her nightgown right before bed. She said, "Hun, I don't wear nightgowns." The other story he told me was a computer they had in the middle of a large circular table in the basement. They heard a big crash from the basement and naturally ran down to check it out. The computer was on the floor broken. To this day, he insists it could not have fallen on its own, as it was in the middle of the table. Number 5. When I was younger, my parents would frequently run errands in the neighboring city and be gone most of the day from morning to night. Our living room was a spot where you could walk through it to get from the back door to either the front door or my parents' room. You could walk between the couch and the TV while doing so. So I was home alone, and my dad came through the back door, walked in front of me as he crossed the room, and entered my mom's room. Then he came back out, walked across my field of vision once again, and left the back door open. He didn't look at me, look at the TV, or really do anything besides walk across the room in both directions. When I asked him what he had come home for, or if he had forgot something, he honestly had no clue what I was talking about. They were an hour and a half away, and coming home for something they forgot would have not made much sense. He was also wearing different clothes when I spoke to him, compared to when I saw him earlier. Such a strange experience, and I only saw it that one time. Number 6. My wife claims she has a doppelganger event with her brother. She said that she was pissed off at him because he didn't walk the dog, so she was taking the dog out when she ran into her brother downstairs in the building lobby or parking lot, and he was with a friend she never met. Her brother asked her for the house keys, and she said no because she was mad at him. He told her he was thirsty, and she walked away. When she got back home, he was not anywhere. As soon as she walked in, she got a call from the hospital that her brother was having an asthma attack and wanted her to go keep him company. What freaks her out the most is thinking, what would have happened if I'd have given him the keys? Would they have gone through his hands, or what? Number 7. When I was around 9, 10 years old, I remember waking up to a large shadow standing at the foot of my bed. I was living with my dad at the time. He has a very large 5-floor terraced house built in the 1800s. Every so often there would be an unexplainable event happen, such as footsteps when there was nobody there, or voices. One night this happened. It was just my dad and I in the house. My sister was staying with my mom at the time. I woke up and noticed the door to my room was wide open. I normally sleep with it closed. I then became aware of a large, around 7 foot tall, shadow-like figure watching me from the end of the bed. When the figure noticed me looking, it seemed to melt into the floor, and the door to my room slammed shut. Understandably, I was slightly traumatized by the whole experience. I asked my dad the next day if he was in my room, and he denied any knowledge of the event, and he's not the type of person that jokes around. Number 8. My husband and I own a martial arts school. and the building that it's in, which we also own, is about 130 years old, next to a church. And I never, and still don't really, there has to be another explanation, believed in paranormal. But the things that happen in it just don't happen to me. It was a decrepit building, and we basically did all the work ourselves. Old, creaky, drafty. A bunch of things happened there. Here's one. One Saturday morning, my husband was on his computer in another room. I'm in the apartment playing Tamagotchi app on my iPad when I heard the stereo sitting in front of me click on, and a girl's voice started talking from it. I thought he controlled the stereo from his computer, so I ignored it because he would often put the music on to work out before class started. He teaches the morning class. I do remember thinking that it was kind of weird ass indie music he was listening to anyway, because the voice just said, "Hi, my name is Katie." But I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't paying much attention, and I've never known a Katie in my life. She said, "I am 9 years old. I am from," and I didn't catch the specifics because I really wasn't listening. But then it went on for about 2 or 3 minutes and until it suddenly went, "Something's hurting me." And when I caught that, I looked up and squinted at the stereo like, "What? Something's killing me. Something's killing me." At this point, my hair was standing on the back of my neck, and I'm getting up from the couch to take a closer look. "Please, someone find my parents. Tell the teachers. Tell the corrections officers." At the word correction officer, I just bolted into the other room and started yelling at my husband and cursing him out because I was certain he was playing a trick on me. I told him, "We don't effing play jokes about dead people." And he's, of course, looking at me like, what the fuck? When he finally calmed down enough to get me what I heard out of me and what was accusing him of, he told me it was impossible and led me to the stereo. "It's not plugged in." I thought maybe the stereo picked up the signals from an ebook or something. Number 9. When I was younger, I used to take naps upstairs, but by the time I was 8 years old, I absolutely refused to go upstairs. The upstairs had two large closets. They ran from one side of the upstairs all the way to the other on both sides. It was essentially a crawl space that maybe was like 30 foot long. It started one day when a friend and I went crawling from one side to the other with flashlights, like kids normally do. Then I saw a girl sitting in the corner acting like she wanted to play with us. I know a lot of people say that when they see a ghost, they aren't scared, just interested. Nope, I was beyond terrified. This girl looked normal, had blonde hair, a nice dress, and seemed friendly. I stayed silent, kept crawling behind my friend, and got out of the closet. Told him what I saw in there. He said he didn't see it, but felt like he didn't want to go back in. Then my parents would occasionally send me upstairs to get something, and I would get up there and I would see the doors swing open. And they were trying to get me to come inside. I would lose toys and wouldn't be able to find them anywhere. Suddenly, my parents would be fishing Christmas presents out of the attic and would find some of my toys in there. I remember being 8 years old. My parents were asleep in the morning, and I leashed up my dog to go take on the monster in the attic. My dog, usually up for anything, refused to go to the top step into the attic. My parents never believed me with all the weird things that had happened in the house. I would get blamed for things that happened all over the house, leaving lights on, toys all over, things I knew I didn't do. Well, anyway, we moved out of there when I was 10. Not a week passed before the new owners called us and asked if the house was haunted. Their daughter slept upstairs. She said that she had been playing with a blonde haired girl at night. My parents laughed at how crazy these new homeowners must be. To make an already long story short, the girl started appearing in other parts of the house for them. They kept in contact with us. They would look over while watching TV and see the girl sitting on their daughter's lap. They looked on the computer over the past owners of the house and found an old dressmaker that had lived there, and yet a picture of a little girl wearing one of the lady's dresses. Number 10. I used to live in an old 5-bedroom house with 6 other people. My significant other and I shared one of the rooms. I saw a stranger in the room when I was in my 20s. It wasn't exactly visible, but I somewhat knew it was right there in the corner of the room. My significant other was next to me sleeping. While I had my eyes open, I knew it was there, so I closed my eyes. I tried to wish it away. I opened my eyes, and now it was next to the bed looking at me. I closed my eyes again, and suddenly relief came. I opened my eyes, nothing there. I saw it once again on the stairs, but it was only for a brief moment this time, and then it was gone. And that's the 10 ghost stories that I have found on the internet for this episode. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. Have a great day. Goodbye.